Imagine for a moment that every storm in your life, every unanswered question, every pain, and every uncertainty could dissolve within 24 hours. Imagine that by this time tomorrow, you would wake up to everything fixed, every tear replaced by laughter, every broken piece mended, every door you longed to open, finally swinging wide with ease. How would you act if you knew that everything will be okay in 24 hours? How would you speak, walk, breathe, and move through your day if you were utterly convinced that the miracle you long for is already in motion? You see, the mind is the birthplace of every miracle that has ever existed. The unseen realm responds, not to desperation but to conviction. The difference between the one who receives and the one who continues to wait lies not in external fortune, but in the inner acceptance that what they desire is already unfolding. When you act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours, you are no longer pleading with life to give you something. You are declaring to life that it already has. There is a sacred law working silently beneath all appearances, a principle that shapes reality according to the image held within consciousness. To act as if is not pretense. It is faith in motion. Faith is not hoping, wishing, or begging for the unseen to appear. Faith is the knowing that what you have imagined already exists. When you begin to live from this knowing, every fiber of your being aligns with the unseen pattern of fulfillment. Close your eyes for a moment and picture yourself tomorrow at this exact time. The thing that worries you most today, gone. The debt paid, the phone call received, the body healed, the opportunity presented, the relationship restored. How do you feel in that moment? What does peace taste like? How does relief move through your chest? How does your mind rest when all is well? That feeling, that quiet, golden stillness, is not something to wait for. It is something to inhabit now. When you claim the end before it arrives, you summon it into being. To act as if everything will be okay is to dress yourself in the consciousness of completion. You speak not as one waiting for an answer, but as one living in the aftermath of answered prayer. You rise in the morning not asking, will it happen, but declaring it is done. You smile at life as if the entire universe is conspiring for you, because it is. The power that shapes mountains and ignites stars does not withhold from those who trust in its perfection. It does not delay because of external circumstance. It waits only for your acceptance. When you act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours, you stop identifying with the problem and begin identifying with the solution. You stop being a seeker and become a possessor. You shift from hope to embodiment, from worry to peace, from waiting to gratitude. Gratitude is not a reaction to what is seen. It is the language of what is unseen. When you give thanks for what has not yet appeared, you acknowledge that it already exists in another dimension of reality. You bring it forth through the doorway of feeling. The heart becomes the bridge between the invisible and the visible. So if you can give thanks tonight, as if your prayer has already been answered, then the universe must respond. It is not a matter of if, it is law. Every event in your life right now is responding to your inner conviction. The outer world bends around the inner state. If you persist in a state of peace, everything chaotic must eventually bow before it. When you hold the end result in consciousness, you have already rewritten the story. To act as if is to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, and the world must rearrange itself to reflect that inner assumption. What you assume to be true becomes true for you, not because of luck, not because of timing, but because you dared to believe it was already so. The person who acts as if everything will be okay in 24 hours does not walk like one burdened. They move lightly, breathe deeply, and smile with the certainty of a quiet knowing. They do not rush to fix things, because they understand that the unseen is already working in their favor. Every time you choose faith over fear, you rewrite your timeline. Every time you hold your peace in the face of chaos, you prove to yourself that you are not the storm, you are the calm behind it. Acting as if is not pretending the pain isn't real. It is acknowledging that something greater than pain is at work. It is looking directly at the mountain and saying, you will move because I have already climbed you in my imagination. The imagination is not fantasy. It is creation's blueprint. Every great transformation begins first in imagination. To see with the inner eye is to command the outer world to align. If you can see the outcome clearly in your mind and feel the relief as if it has already occurred, The energy of that assumption sets the unseen machinery of reality in motion. What you feel to be real will one day harden into fact. So if everything in your life appeared perfectly resolved tomorrow, what version of you would wake up then? Would you stand taller? Would your tone soften? Would your words carry more joy? Begin to embody that version of yourself now. Speak as they would speak. Walk as they would walk. Feel as they would feel. Do not wait for evidence. Be the evidence. There is nothing more magnetic to life's abundance than a soul who knows that all is well. That calm confidence is not arrogance. It is alignment. When you declare, it's all going to be okay, and you believe it so deeply that your body relaxes, you emit the vibration of certainty, and certainty calls forth the matching circumstances. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. The future is not something you wait for, it is something you shape by your inner acceptance now. If you live today in the consciousness that everything will be okay in 24 hours, you will meet tomorrow as if the miracle has already taken place. Life will rush to confirm what you dared to believe. The smallest shifts in your imagination ripple across dimensions. Perhaps you feel as though your circumstances are too big, too tangled, too late. But you must remember, nothing is too late in the mind of the infinite. Time bends to consciousness. A change in assumption now can rewrite the entire path of your experience. That is why 24 hours is more than enough for the miraculous. The only delay is doubt. The moment you abandon doubt and choose knowing, the countdown to fulfillment begins. To act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours is to set a sacred timer on your faith. It is to say, I no longer live as if I'm waiting. I live as if I already have. This act of inner rebellion confuses fear, silences worry, and opens the door to flow. You can sense it when you do. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath too long. Many people wait for life to show them a sign before they believe. But signs follow belief. They do not precede it. You must feel the relief first. You must walk as though your heart has already received the news it longs for. When you do, the news will come, not because you chased it, but because you became it. Everything around you is a mirror reflecting your dominant state of consciousness. If you hold fear, the world will echo fear. If you hold peace, the world will mirror peace. When you act as if everything will be okay, you shift the reflection. You begin to notice gentle evidence that life is indeed aligning in your favor. A kind word, an unexpected opportunity, a sudden wave of calm. These are the whispers of confirmation, the quiet assurance that your assumption is taking root. Let today be your turning point. From this moment on, speak to yourself not as one in crisis, but as one who has already emerged victorious. Say within yourself, by this time tomorrow everything will have unfolded perfectly. Let that sentence become your inner anthem. When fear knocks, remind yourself it's already done. When worry rises, whisper, it's all working out. If you can sustain that conviction for a single day, you will witness how the external begins to bend in obedience. The mind trained in faith becomes a magnet for order, clarity, and grace. It is not your responsibility to know how it will happen. It is only your task to hold the state as if it already has. The how belongs to the infinite intelligence that moves worlds into orbit. Your part is the assumption, the feeling, the knowing. Every prayer, every vision, every desire is a seed. Acting as if everything will be okay is watering that seed with trust. Worry is drought. Doubt is frost. Faith is sunlight. And when the inner sun remains steady, the seed cannot help but sprout. Even if you see no evidence above the surface, the roots are forming beneath the soil of consciousness. You must not dig up the seed to check its progress. You must rest in assurance that growth is inevitable. When you wake tomorrow, you may notice subtle shifts. A conversation that eases your heart, an answer that was hidden now revealed, a feeling of calm where anxiety once lived. These are signs of your assumption solidifying. The more you act as if everything will be okay, the more quickly life arranges itself to match your inner expectation. Some will call this coincidence. Some will call it luck. But you will know it is the natural law of consciousness. You will recognize that the moment you accepted peace within, the world began to mirror it without. Every miracle follows this invisible pattern. The outer must conform to the inner. So when you find yourself tempted by worry, remember this truth. Your worry is not proof of reality. It is simply imagination used in reverse. The same power that imagines disaster can imagine deliverance. Redirect that power. When fear says, what if it goes wrong? Answer with, What if it goes perfectly? Feel the shift in your body when you say that. Feel how instantly lighter you become. That lightness is your signal that you are aligned with truth. For truth has never been heavy. It has always been liberating. The heaviness of fear is the illusion of separation from what you desire. The moment you act as if the solution is already here, the weight falls away. Peace does not wait for the circumstance to change. It precedes it. When you declare that everything will be okay in 24 hours, you are not defying logic. You are awakening law. You are commanding your subconscious mind to accept a new reality. And once it does, the subconscious will set every force in motion to make it so. The people, the events, the opportunities all begin to move in harmony with your inner declaration. Even if the full manifestation is not visible by the 24th hour, you will feel the certainty that it is done. You will walk through life with a quiet authority that says, it's already handled. That state of being is the true miracle. Because once you live in that certainty, nothing can shake you again. You will have discovered the key that opens every door, the consciousness of fulfillment. There is no power outside of you greater than the one you assume within you. The moment you assume peace, peace flows through the world around you. The moment you assume healing, the body begins to obey. The moment you assume abundance, resources appear. It is all consciousness made visible. So begin tonight. As you lie in bed, feel as though your miracle has already happened. Let your heart rest in the sweetness of completion. Whisper to yourself, it's all working out. Everything is unfolding perfectly. By this time tomorrow, all will be well. Feel the warmth of that knowing spreading through your chest. Let sleep take you while you are wrapped in that certainty. When morning comes, act as if your good news has arrived. Smile at the day with quiet gratitude. Move with purpose. Speak with joy. Meet others with kindness. These actions are not efforts. They are confirmations. You are confirming through every gesture that the unseen has already become seen. And if doubt ever tries to creep back, do not argue with it. Simply return to the feeling of the end. Remember that the outcome is already decided, and that you are walking toward the visible expression of what has long been true in the invisible. Hold the feeling of tomorrow's peace in today's heart, and you will compress time itself. For time is not distance, it is belief. The stronger your conviction, the shorter the interval between imagination and manifestation. 24 hours is enough when the mind is steady. You are not waiting for peace, you are the vessel through which peace is revealed. You are not seeking the answer, you are the answer in formation. Everything you long for is already contained within your consciousness, waiting for you to act as if it is so. When you begin to live in this state, every small act becomes sacred. The way you pour your morning coffee, the way you breathe as sunlight spills through the window, the way you move through your daily tasks, all become quiet affirmations that something wonderful is unfolding. You no longer look at the world through the eyes of lack, but through the eyes of completion. You stop analyzing how it will happen, and simply rest in the awareness that it is already underway. This shift is subtle but powerful. It changes the vibration of every thought you think. You are no longer reacting to circumstances. You are creating them through your inner assumption. Acting as if everything will be okay in 24 hours trains your mind to dwell in the realm of the already done. You don't force positivity. You rest in certainty. It is not about pretending that pain or confusion doesn't exist. It is about knowing that they are temporary illusions, shadows that dissolve in the light of realization. The mind is the stage upon which all realities play, and the moment you occupy the role of the fulfilled self, the rest of the world adjusts its script. You may notice coincidences that seem too precise to be random. A call from someone you were thinking about, a sudden idea that leads to an opportunity, a sense of peace replacing fear for no reason at all. These are not accidents. They are confirmations that your inner world is leading the outer. The art of acting as if is not forcing yourself to believe something blindly. It is gently persuading the heart to accept that peace is natural and fear is the illusion. When you truly embody the knowing that all will be well, your nervous system relaxes, your breath deepens, and the energy that once scattered in anxiety now aligns into coherence. In that coherence, solutions appear effortlessly. The mind, clear of resistance, becomes a magnet for right action. The universe is not testing you, it is reflecting you. It mirrors the tone you hold within. When you act as if you are safe, cared for, guided, and secure, the outer world begins to organize itself around that frequency. Life bends toward your belief, because consciousness is the only reality. There is no external world independent of perception. There is only the world perceived through the filter of assumption. And when the assumption is everything will be okay, the filter becomes luminous, and what was once fearsome becomes gentle. Each hour that passes as you hold this inner certainty builds momentum. The first few moments may feel like effort, but soon, faith becomes your natural rhythm. You begin to smile without reason. You sense that invisible hands are arranging your world with precision. This is the true meaning of surrender, not resignation, but confident allowing. You are no longer trying to make things happen. You are allowing what has already happened in consciousness to reveal itself in form. The space between thought and manifestation becomes shorter and shorter until it collapses entirely. That is when you realize that acting as if is not a technique but a way of being. It is remembering that creation is finished, that all possibilities already exist, and you simply choose which one to experience through belief. You are a being of infinite imagination, and imagination is the creative force of the universe. To imagine the end is to begin creation. When you hold the image of tomorrow's peace so vividly that your heart swells with relief, you have already stepped into that timeline. The invisible bridge between here and there begins to form. People, events, and circumstances align themselves as stepping stones toward your fulfillment. You may not see the full picture yet, but each moment becomes a guided movement toward that destined end. You feel a current beneath the surface of life carrying you forward. That current is your faith in action. There will be moments when doubt whispers, "What if it doesn't happen?" In those moments, remember that the question itself is powerless unless you feed it attention. Shift the question to, "What if it already has?" Let that new question echo through your consciousness. What if the thing you long for has already been answered, but time is merely unfolding its visible expression? What if the peace you seek is already yours, but your mind needs 24 hours to catch up with what your heart already knows? That is the deeper truth. The universe does not delay. It simply unfolds according to the pace of your belief. The stronger your assumption, the faster the unfoldment. Acting as if everything will be okay in 24 hours also transforms how you interact with others. You begin to see people not as obstacles or threats but as reflections of your own state. When you hold peace, you draw peace out of them. When you expect kindness, it is given. Even those who were once difficult seem softer, more cooperative. You are no longer trying to fix people. You are radiating a vibration that uplifts them. The energy of all is well is contagious. It quiets wounds, resolves conflicts, and draws blessings in unexpected ways. This is how the power of inner certainty ripples outward. It reorganizes the field of experience itself. As you move through your day, imagine an invisible circle of assurance surrounding you. Within this circle, nothing harmful can enter. Every situation bends toward harmony. Every encounter leads to blessing. Every delay conceals divine timing. Carry that circle of calm wherever you go. It is your unspoken prayer made visible. When you walk into a room, let your presence whisper, "All is well, and everything will be okay." Watch how people respond differently, how conversations flow, how opportunities seem to arise without effort. The world is responding to the energy you project. And the energy you project is born from the assumptions you hold. To act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours is to practice emotional alchemy. You take the lead of fear and transmute it into the gold of faith. You choose to dwell in the unseen rather than the seen. You may still face uncertainty in appearances, but your reaction changes. You no longer say, "This is going wrong." You say, "This is part of it going right." That single shift turns pain into preparation and confusion into clarity. What once seemed like delay now feels like orchestration. You begin to notice beauty, even in challenges, because you trust their necessity. Everything that happens within those 24 hours is guiding you toward that moment of completion. Nothing is wasted. Every second is sacred. In this consciousness, even your body begins to respond differently. The cells relax, the heartbeat steadies, the mind stops racing. Healing becomes natural, because the body follows the command of peace. The intelligence within every atom listens to the vibration of your belief. When you affirm that all is well, you are instructing every cell to align with that truth. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the mind expressed in visible form. To act as if you are healed is to invite healing into the body's awareness. To act as if abundance flows is to tune the mind to the frequency where abundance already exists. Everything is consciousness made visible, and the moment you shift consciousness, matter must follow. You might think, But what if my situation is too complex? Remember, complexity exists only in the intellect, not in the infinite. The infinite does not solve problems one by one. It dissolves them entirely by lifting you to a higher state, where they no longer exist. Acting as if everything will be okay is not about tackling each issue. It's about rising into the frequency where every issue is already resolved. You do not fight shadows when you stand in sunlight. They vanish naturally. Likewise, when you dwell in the state of peace, problems that seemed impossible lose their power to disturb you. Life becomes lighter when you realize that your role is not to struggle but to assume. To assume the best is to give permission for it to manifest. The universe is not against you. It is for you, always mirroring what you hold within. When you expect goodness, you magnetize it. When you rest in certainty, you magnetize miracles. When you act as if all is well, you declare that your destiny is secure. The energy of faith reshapes the path ahead, like wind carving patterns into sand. You may not notice the exact moment when things begin to shift. It often happens quietly. But soon you realize that you feel more at ease, more confident, more connected to something vast and benevolent. That feeling is your proof. The unseen does not always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it arrives as a gentle knowing that cannot be shaken. And that knowing is everything. Once you have tasted it, you understand that outer reality is only the slow echo of inner conviction. Let this awareness saturate your days. When you wake up, remind yourself that you are living within a 24-hour miracle. Each moment brings you closer to visible evidence. You do not chase it, you let it unfold. As you walk, breathe the certainty that by tomorrow, something will have shifted in your favor. It could be subtle or grand, but it will be right. You have declared it so, and the declaration itself is creation. When others around you speak in fear or doubt, you will find yourself calm, smiling gently, no longer pulled into their storms. You will understand that everyone is living in the world of their own assumption, and you can choose yours consciously. You can remain in the consciousness of everything will be okay, regardless of what they believe. Your steadiness will not only protect your own peace, but may even inspire theirs. The energy of unwavering faith is irresistible. It reminds others of their own hidden power. You are not required to perform grand rituals or affirmations all day long. What matters is the feeling. The feeling of certainty is the creative substance. The more you sustain that feeling, the more tangible it becomes. Words without feeling are empty, but feeling without words moves mountains. So feel your way through these 24 hours, as though you are already standing in your answered prayer. Speak to yourself gently, lovingly, with the tone of one who knows the outcome is guaranteed. And when fear tries to tell you that nothing is changing, look deeper. The outer may still look familiar, but beneath it, a silent rearrangement is occurring. The people who need to appear are being moved into place. The opportunities are being woven together. The timing is aligning with precision beyond comprehension. You may not see the pattern yet, but you will. The seed is sprouting underground. Remember also that faith is not a performance. It is a return to truth. You are not trying to convince life to favor you. Life already favors you, because you are one with its creative power. To act as if everything will be okay is to stop pretending you are separate from the source that sustains worlds. It is to remember that you and the creative power are not two but one. When you assume the end with confidence, you are expressing that oneness. You are speaking the language of creation. As you live this way, you begin to notice how everything starts to serve your unfolding. Even events that seem inconvenient reveal themselves as blessings in disguise. A delay that frustrates you today may turn out to be perfect timing tomorrow. Acting as if everything will be okay opens your eyes to these hidden harmonies. You stop labeling moments as good or bad because you trust their purpose. You realize that all things are working together for your highest good. That is not an abstract idea. It is an energetic truth. The moment you hold that assumption, life rearranges to confirm it. The more you practice this awareness, the shorter your recovery time from challenges becomes. You no longer spiral into fear when things seem uncertain. You smile, breathe, and remind yourself, it's all unfolding. By this time tomorrow, it will be clear. That single sentence holds immense creative power. It acts like a command to your subconscious mind, which then works tirelessly, even as you sleep, to align every detail to your decree. You may wake with sudden clarity, or an email may arrive unexpectedly, or an inner peace may settle so deeply that you realize the problem never truly existed. It was only a projection of doubt. Acting as if everything will be okay in 24 hours transforms you into a creator of time itself. You are no longer a prisoner of waiting. You are the author of unfolding. You stop counting hours as empty intervals and begin to see them as creative space, vibrating with unseen motion. Each minute becomes sacred. You breathe gratitude into the present, and gratitude multiplies blessings. You see signs everywhere, numbers aligning, people appearing, songs that echo your thoughts. Synchronicities are not coincidences. They are proof that your assumption is stabilizing in the fabric of reality. And so through the quiet persistence of faith, through the gentle art of feeling it done, through the unshakable decision to act as if all is well, you find that life itself begins to mirror your certainty. The waves calm, the clouds part, the path ahead brightens, and though the 24 hours pass like any other, something in you knows that you will never again be the same. When you choose to act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours, you begin to awaken a sleeping power within you that has been waiting for recognition. It is the same power that causes seeds to sprout, stars to burn, oceans to flow, and hearts to beat. It is the power of consciousness shaping form. You are not separate from that power. You are its expression in human form. Yet for so long, the world has trained you to look outward for assurance, to search for signs before believing. But the truth is reversed. Signs follow belief, not the other way around. The moment you decide that all will be well, the invisible gears of the universe begin to turn in your favor. It is not a poetic metaphor. It is the literal law of assumption, the law that states that what you inwardly accept as true will manifest outwardly in your experience. Every event, every encounter, every opportunity that enters your life is simply a reflection of what you have dared to assume. So imagine today as your sacred rehearsal for tomorrow's miracle. Every word you speak, every breath you take, every thought that crosses your mind becomes a rehearsal for your coming blessing. How would you carry yourself if you knew that by tomorrow your worries would dissolve like mist in sunlight? Would your shoulders drop, your tone soften, your laughter return? Would you find yourself kinder, more patient, more open? This is the essence of acting as if, to live now as the person who already knows the outcome is certain. When you occupy that identity fully, the future bends to meet you. It cannot resist, because consciousness is cause, and the world is effect. You may look around and see conditions that contradict your assumption. You may see lack, where abundance has been imagined, or conflict where peace has been declared. But remember this, the world you see today is a reflection of your old assumptions, not your new ones. There is always a lag between the planting and the harvest. When you change your assumption, you change the seed. Give it time to take root, and soon the field will bloom in accordance with your inner picture. The impatient mind wants proof now, but the wise soul understands that proof is inevitable. You do not dig up a seed to check its progress. You water it with faith and wait with expectancy. The same law applies to consciousness. As the hours pass, let your mind rest in the feeling of completion. The feeling is the secret ingredient that bridges imagination and reality. Words alone are not enough. They must be infused with emotional conviction. Feel the joy of the resolution before you see it. Feel the relief of the breakthrough before it appears. Feel the gratitude of the answered prayer before it manifests. This feeling is your signature in the universe. It tells creation exactly what state to reproduce in your life. When your inner feeling contradicts the outer appearance, persist in the inner. The outer will yield. It always does. Faith is persistence in assumption despite evidence to the contrary. Acting as if everything will be okay in 24 hours is a living demonstration of that persistence. It is looking at the storm and saying this too shall pass, not as a cliché, but as an absolute knowing. It is walking through uncertainty with the posture of certainty. It is refusing to bow to appearances, because appearances are nothing more than temporary expressions of past thoughts. Once you understand that appearances are echoes of old beliefs, you stop reacting to them. You begin to live from the end rather than toward it. There is great freedom in this. You stop chasing outcomes. Stop struggling to control every detail. Stop worrying about timing. You begin to live in a state of divine non-resistance. You let go, not because you are indifferent, but because you trust. You trust that the unseen is wiser than the seen, that your inner conviction is already weaving circumstances together perfectly. That trust becomes your atmosphere. People feel it when they are around you. There's something magnetic about someone who moves through life as if the miracle has already occurred. They do not rush. They do not force. They simply radiate calm authority. That authority comes from knowing that consciousness commands reality, not the other way around. Every thought of worry is a rehearsal of fear, and every thought of peace is a rehearsal of faith. You get to choose which performance you perfect. Acting as if everything will be okay means rehearsing peace until it becomes second nature. It means choosing gratitude over doubt, calm over panic, trust over control. And as you repeat this state, it becomes natural, effortless, automatic. The subconscious mind, once saturated with worry, begins to accept peace as its default. From that moment on, everything in your life begins to organize itself to match that new default. Relationships smooth out, opportunities open, health improves, resources appear. The outer world becomes a reflection of the peace within. This transformation does not require struggle, it requires awareness. Awareness that every reaction you offer to life is an instruction. If you react with fear, you instruct life to give you more reasons to fear. If you respond with faith, you instruct life to give you more reasons to trust. The universe is literal. It mirrors not your words, but your vibration. When your vibration says, "I know everything is working out," life arranges itself accordingly. Within those 24 hours, the magic begins quietly. You may notice that the tension in your body lessens, that your thoughts feel lighter, that your heart feels steadier. These are the early signs that your consciousness has shifted. It's as if the storm inside you begins to settle before the clouds part outside. The outer change is inevitable, once the inner peace has been reached. If the body is water, then the mind is the wind that stirs it. Calm the wind, and the surface stills. This is how creation works, from the unseen to the seen, from assumption to expression, from feeling to fact. Every great transformation in history began in this unseen dimension of belief. The inventor who saw the machine before it was built, the healer who felt wholeness before symptoms changed, the dreamer who felt success before it arrived, all lived as if. They refused to wait for evidence. They became the evidence. They understood that the world does not respond to need, but to conviction. And so it is with you. The more you embody the energy of "it's already okay," the faster life conspires to confirm it. Perhaps you've spent years worrying, doubting, and waiting for conditions to prove themselves trustworthy. But conditions will never stabilize until you do. The moment you decide to live as if all is well, your world begins to align. It cannot do otherwise, because it is made of the same substance as your assumption. Reality is not fixed, it is fluid, shifting to mirror consciousness. You may have been told to be realistic, but the highest realism is faith. Reality follows the imagination of the believer. When you begin to live this truth, you discover that peace is not the absence of challenge, but the presence of certainty. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes, and begin to rest in the flow of inevitability. Acting as if everything will be okay is not arrogance, it is reverence for the law of creation. It is saying to life, "I trust your process, because I know you are perfect." From that trust comes a supernatural ease. Time slows down, synchronicities multiply, and what once felt distant begins to approach with grace. Notice also how your perception of time changes. The moment you assume that your desire will manifest in 24 hours, time itself begins to compress. Your awareness becomes so focused, so alive, that you sense movement even in stillness. This is because time is not linear, it is psychological. The faster you accept the end as real, the faster time rearranges to match it. You begin to see how days can feel like minutes when aligned, and how minutes can feel eternal when filled with doubt. Acting as if collapses time, it places you directly in the vibration of fulfillment now. As the hours unfold, hold to your inner picture with gentle confidence. You do not need to repeat it endlessly or analyze it logically. Simply return to the feeling whenever your mind wanders. Let it be your home, your resting place. The world outside may test your conviction with appearances, but you will know the truth. Appearances are but ripples, and you are the ocean beneath them. When you rest in the awareness that all is well, the ripples calm themselves. Your words too begin to carry new power. When you speak, you are no longer describing your reality. You are decreeing it. Words infused with faith are not idle sounds. They are creative commands. When you say, "It's all working out," The universe hears an order, not a hope. When you say by tomorrow peace will reign, creation begins its silent choreography. Speech aligned with faith becomes prophecy. This is why idle talk of fear and failure must be avoided. It too carries creative charge. Speak only that which you wish to see made flesh. And what of those who doubt you? They may look at you and say, "You're delusional, you can't just assume things into existence." Smile gently, for they do not yet understand that everything they have ever experienced was first assumed into existence by someone. Every invention, every work of art, every discovery began as imagination made real. They call it luck, chance, coincidence, but you know it is law. Do not argue or defend your faith. Demonstration is stronger than debate. When your results appear, they will ask how it happened, and you will smile and say, "I simply knew it would." This is the quiet majesty of acting as if. It requires no shouting, no striving, no convincing, only inner alignment. You align, and the universe follows. You decide, and the world reconfigures. You believe, and matter obeys. There is no hierarchy of difficulty in creation, whether you are manifesting peace in your heart or a transformation in your circumstances. The principle is the same. The only variable is your willingness to persist in the assumption. Let persistence become your prayer, not the persistence of struggle, but the persistence of peace, the refusal to surrender your calm to appearances. Even when hours pass and nothing visible has changed, maintain your knowing. You are not waiting for tomorrow to bring peace. You are using tomorrow as a symbol of certainty today. Every time you feel tempted to doubt, close your eyes and remember the end. Imagine yourself 24 hours from now, smiling, relieved, thankful. Let that image sink into your bones. Feel it until you cannot tell whether it is imagination or memory. Once it feels real, it is real. The world will soon reflect it. As the night deepens, remind yourself that the unseen is working while you sleep. There is a vast intelligence moving through your life, arranging everything with perfect precision. Your only task is to keep your vibration aligned with faith. Rest in the awareness that the next sunrise carries with it the confirmation of your inner decree. And when that sunrise comes, even if your miracle is still invisible to others, you will know that something irreversible has shifted. You will feel lighter, freer, certain. The old anxiety will no longer have power. You will look at life and see beauty, where before you saw chaos. This is the beginning of mastery, the mastery of self, which is the mastery of reality. The world changes because you change your assumption about it. You act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours. And by doing so, you teach your subconscious mind that peace is natural. Once peace becomes natural, miracles become ordinary. You stop being amazed by alignment because it feels inevitable. And it is inevitable because the world is consciousness expressing itself through form. You are that consciousness. You are the creator in disguise, testing the limits of your own imagination. Each time you choose faith over fear, you remind yourself of who you are. Each time you persist in the state of "it is done," you awaken more deeply to your creative authority. The more you practice this, the less time it takes for reality to respond. Soon you will not need 24 hours at all. Your knowing will be instant, your manifestation swift. But begin where you are. Begin by claiming that by this time tomorrow, everything will be okay. Let that be your anchor, your mantra, your vibration. Feel it, live it, breathe it, and watch the world rearrange itself accordingly. When you hold the assumption that everything will be okay in 24 hours, you awaken a rhythm of faith that begins to hum beneath every thought, every heartbeat, every word you speak. It is as if your entire being starts to harmonize with a divine tempo, a vibration of certainty that dissolves doubt wherever it lingers. You start to sense that life has never truly been against you. It was only reflecting your temporary forgetfulness of your creative power. The moment you remember who you are, the consciousness that imagines, feels, and commands, everything shifts. The heaviness that once felt unbearable becomes light. The confusion that clouded your path begins to part, and an invisible order begins to unfold around you. You start to recognize that the world is not a random sequence of events, but a perfect mirror, echoing the melody you play within yourself. To act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours is to retune yourself to the harmony of certainty. And once you find that inner tone, life dances to it. There is a sacred simplicity in this truth. You do not need to force outcomes, chase signs, or wrestle with circumstances. You need only to occupy the state of peace that declares, it is already handled. This does not mean ignoring what is before you, it means seeing beyond it. It means acknowledging that appearances are not reality. They are reflections of what has already been assumed in consciousness. When you realize that, you no longer waste your energy trying to rearrange reflections, you simply change the source image. If the reflection shows fear, you do not argue with it. You replace fear with faith in the mind, and soon the reflection follows. That is how all creation occurs. Consciousness first, manifestation second. To live as if everything will be okay is to trust in the invisible process that never fails. There is a stillness beneath the chaos, and within that stillness lies the blueprint of every answered prayer. You begin to see that life is not something happening to you, but something happening through you. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the author of them. And once you accept authorship, you no longer write tragedy. You write triumph. The pen of assumption is mightier than any external condition. The ink is feeling. The paper is the field of reality. Every thought and emotion becomes a line of your unfolding story. When you write, it will be okay, and you feel the truth of it. Creation begins to echo those words through the corridors of time and circumstance, until they return to you in physical form. In these 24 hours of sacred trust, you are not simply waiting for a miracle. You are embodying it. Waiting implies separation, but acting as if collapses the distance between desire and fulfillment. It is not a countdown of hours, but a deepening of awareness. With every hour that passes, your belief becomes stronger, your vibration more stable, your connection more undeniable. You begin to notice that the very air around you feels different, as if charged with possibility. Even before anything changes externally, your inner world begins to glow with assurance. You catch yourself smiling for no reason. You notice small synchronicities that seem to whisper, it's working. Those whispers are confirmations from the unseen realm that your assumption has been accepted. The invisible has already said yes. The visible is catching up. The beauty of this practice is that it transcends logic. Logic is bound by evidence, but faith creates evidence. Logic says, I will believe it when I see it. Faith says, I will see it because I believe it. Logic measures time in hours and days, but faith collapses time into now. The consciousness that acts as if everything is already okay does not wait. It lives from the end. It eats, speaks, moves, and breathes as the fulfilled version of itself. This inner movement reshapes the outer reality without effort. You may find that people begin to treat you differently. Opportunities appear spontaneously. Obstacles dissolve quietly. These are the ripples of inner change manifesting as outer harmony. To sustain this state, you must learn to return to the feeling of the end whenever doubt arises. Doubt is not the enemy. It is simply the mind's attempt to return to familiarity. The old self, used to fear and uncertainty, will occasionally try to pull you back into worry. When that happens, pause. Close your eyes. Breathe into your heart and remember the image of tomorrow's peace. See yourself relieved, smiling, grateful. Feel that feeling now. The moment you feel it, you have returned to power. You have reclaimed authorship. The mind cannot serve two masters. It will obey the one you feed with emotion. Feed it faith, and fear will starve. You may wonder, can it truly be that simple? Yes, it can. Creation has always been simple. It is the mind that complicates it. Every time you act as if you simplify life back to its essence, assumption becomes reality. The child who believes their wish is already granted does not question how. It simply expects, and the expectation draws the answer. The adult, conditioned by reason, calls this foolishness. Yet, it is this foolishness that holds the secret to miracles. When you drop reason's limits and trust the unseen, you unlock a creative flow that surpasses all calculation. You stop being the observer of life and become its conscious participant. The phrase everything will be okay in 24 hours becomes not just a hope, but a declaration of dominion. You are no longer pleading with life, you are commanding it. This command does not come from ego, but from divine alignment. It is the quiet authority of knowing that the power that created worlds lives within you. That power does not beg, it speaks and it becomes. When you speak from that place, your words carry weight. They are not requests, they are decrees. You begin to understand that prayer is not asking, it is assuming the feeling of the answered state. The true prayer is silent, felt, and accepted as already done. Throughout these hours, Your outer environment may not immediately reflect the peace you feel, but that does not matter. You are no longer measuring progress by appearances. You are measuring it by inner stability. The more you maintain peace, the closer you move to manifestation. The process is as natural as breathing. You do not dig into the soil to force a seed to sprout. You water it, trust the process, and let nature handle the rest. Likewise, your assumption is the seed, your faith the water, and the universe the soil. The results are inevitable when you persist. Notice how your senses begin to sharpen in this state of faith. Colors appear richer, sounds clearer. Even the simplest things seem to shimmer with meaning. This is not imagination. It is perception expanding to match your elevated state. When you dwell in faith, you rise above the frequency of fear, and in that higher frequency life reveals its beauty. The same world that once felt hostile now feels benevolent. This is the miracle before the miracle, the inner transformation that precedes the outer manifestation. When you live in the assumption of peace, you become immune to chaos. It may swirl around you, but it cannot enter your atmosphere. You become like the eye of the storm, untouched, serene, powerful. From this center you can influence everything without being influenced by anything. This is mastery, the ability to remain unmoved by appearances, because you know that appearances are temporary reflections of old thoughts. The master of consciousness smiles at chaos because they understand it is already resolving. The peace you hold is the silent command that brings order. To act as if everything will be okay in 24 hours is also to practice detachment, not from desire, but from desperation. Detachment is the knowing that you do not need to chase what is already yours. The one who knows that everything is okay does not cling or grasp. They allow, they trust, they flow. They understand that to hold too tightly is to block the very thing they seek. The energy of need repels. The energy of assurance attracts. When you rest in the vibration of it is already done, life rushes to fill the space you have opened through calm expectancy. You might notice that as your belief deepens, even your sleep changes. The mind that once tossed with worry now rests in certainty. Dreams become vivid. Symbols of transformation begin to appear. This is because your subconscious is receiving the new program of peace. It is being rewritten from fear to faith. You may wake up feeling lighter, as if the invisible burden you once carried has been lifted. That feeling is not random. It is the echo of your assumption solidifying in the unseen. The rhythm of your day becomes different. You are no longer waiting for time to pass. You are living in fulfillment. Every activity, no matter how mundane, becomes a celebration of the unfolding miracle. You brush your hair, you drink your tea, you walk outside, all with the quiet inner knowing that everything is falling into place. This knowing becomes your aura, your atmosphere. People begin to sense it without understanding why. They feel calmer around you, inspired, comforted. This is how transformation spreads, not through preaching, but through presence. Even your relationship with challenges evolves. What once triggered panic now triggers peace. You understand that each difficulty is an invitation to reaffirm your faith. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" you ask, "How is this serving my good?" That single shift transforms resistance into cooperation. The problem becomes the pathway. The delay becomes the alignment. You begin to see divine order in what once looked like chaos. This perspective is not naive. It is creative. It rewrites the script of reality in real time. As the hours approach their completion, you may notice a soft, luminous feeling in your chest, a quiet joy without reason. This is the signal that your assumption has taken root. The feeling of fulfillment has become stable, and the outer manifestation is now inevitable. You have successfully bridged the gap between desire and reality through the art of faith. Even if the visible proof has not yet appeared, you know it will. The knowing itself is the miracle. The external confirmation will be only a shadow of the inner victory. The deeper you dwell in this state, the more you understand that 24 hours was never about the clock. It was about your decision to stop delaying peace. The moment you chose to act as if everything would be okay, the countdown began not toward manifestation, but toward awareness. The awareness that you are, and have always been, the creative center of your universe. Every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is a brushstroke, painting the canvas of your life. The image that appears tomorrow will be the one you hold today. So hold beauty, hold peace, hold certainty, and let the masterpiece unfold effortlessly before your eyes. So begin now. Let every step, Every word, every breath declare, it is done. All is well. Everything will be okay in 24 hours. And then watch as life rushes to prove you right.